Today we're going to sketch with the lead in your pencil, which is also called graphite. We're going to create the graphite drawing. So what you'll need is to start creating your border around your page. And we can measure up to 2 inches. So mark 2 inches into your paper. From the very corner to your inside mark in each corner. Now what you'll need to do is connect those corners. If they're a little off, that's okay. Just do your best to straighten them out. Connect them into a nice border. Now we want to find the very center mark of your page by pointing in the center with your finger and then placing a light mark there. So we want to figure out where the exact center is. So the top portion and the bottom portion should be the same. I'm going to lay my pencil down so the tip of my pencil starts in the center mark and then pinching my pencil right at the border. And I can move it up to see if they're the same, and they are not. So I have too much pencil up here, so they're not the same size. I need to lower my center down. I can measure again. So just take your time with this. That's about right. And side to side, placing again my tip of my pencil in the center and pinching it back here by the border. About there. So that's about the center. Then you can use your ruler for a nice light guideline. Notice how I'm holding it way back here and I have all this space. I want to lightly press down to make guidelines that I can erase later. So practice drawing very lightly. You can test by erasing a portion of it just to see if it will erase, and it will. So you want to bring that back. You can pause the video here and finish creating your border and your graphing lines. Now we want to start to bring in a plate shape. This plate shape will be the largest shape of the piece. So let's say about a finger width from the edge in. And we want about the same space from the top, this space, and the bottom, about the same space. Now we can start to sketch our round corners on the edges. And then meeting them in the middle, connecting your measuring areas together, your measuring marks. You need to go a little higher there. and on the bottom. So notice how I'm using my pencil in the middle and not on the neck. We want to lightly sketch across the bottom. And now I have this inner plate area. Definitely pause the video here if you need to finish the oval. And then start to bring in the inner plate design here. And I'm just creating a parallel line along this line, but on the inside. Look at the space, the thickness inside the plate from line to line. Now we can start to create the fruit sitting on the plate. So to create that, we want to notice how far away from the plate edge to bring in the top of the fruit, and also where the fruit will land inside the plate and just above this line. We're going to bring in an oval slanted this way. This orange isn't completely round, it's just slightly more of an oval from the back. Make an X right here at the where the plate and this measuring line cross. Top of the orange and the bottom of the orange, maybe about here, right below the center. Now we can start to bring in the fruit shape. I'm actually going to go a little bit higher here. I feel like the fruit is a little bit more round or larger. So I went a little bit above that mark because I feel like the fruit should be a little bit larger. And now I can erase anything I don't need. I want to make my fruit completely empty of lines. And that makes it look like the fruit is sitting on the plate and in front of the back of the plate. Now I can bring in a shape here. Orange has a little like bump area here with a little bit of detail inside. If you're thinking, if your fruit ended up being really small, notice how large it is. It touches the center line here. So from way back here on the plate to the center, you can also put about 4 fingers inside the fruit. Adjust your fruit if you need to. This class, when you draw your pieces, there's a lot of erasing and correcting shapes, so it's okay to stop and erase your shape. Try again. Pause the video here, and then we'll continue with the apple behind the orange. So now we'll bring in the apple. The apple it definitely sits behind the orange, so I'm just going to draw a broken line here. apple is flat at the top. Actually, I'm just going to draw it over the orange for now. The orange and the bottom of the apple land on one straight line. So bring in this guideline. We will erase this line, but for now it'll help us line up the apple and the orange together. Now I can create the other side of the apple, and notice how this apple will be, it looks like the same size as the orange across. So keep that in mind. You can even put a little mark here. How thick is that apple compared to the other fruit? By placing the tip of my pencil on the side of the apple to where I want to draw it, pinching the pencil on the other side of the apple, and then moving that length of the pencil to the orange. And they seem about the same. That will help size your apple and both of the fruit. Now we can create the bottom of the apple, has those ridges. And I can erase inside the orange since the orange is sitting in front and overlapping the apple. I can also erase inside of the apple. Any lines in there I don't need anymore. And I can erase that guideline on the bottom. Now we can bring in the smile to the apple here. It's just a little smile. Notice how close it is to the top. It's not too close, but I could definitely fit a pencil width between the top and the smile. And then we can bring in the stem. So the stem will reach above the apple line here, curve around in a circular shape, and then down. Pause the video here until you've both of the fruit drawn in. Can erase inside of the apple stem. I can get rid of these guidelines now, cleaning up my picture. I'm going to bring in a table that the plate will sit on. So a straight line to the back of the orange. It'll go. You don't want to draw through the orange. You can lightly if you feel like it helps you straighten the line to the other side, on the same side. So now it looks like there's a table here and then an empty background behind the apple and the orange. Now we want to get into the shading. So the first thing I'll do is I want to draw in my highlight on both the apple and the orange. And the highlight is really where the light, the sun or a lamp, the light shines onto, casts light onto the apple, and there's usually, in the orange, there's usually a highlight, the brightest part. Then it casts a light over part of the apple around the highlight. And then here we have a shadow on the opposite end. We have a shadow below where it doesn't see the light. What we want to do with our ruler is to find about 5 boxes across on the bottom. To make 5, first split them in the middle, then split, so you have a split right in the middle. You have 2 boxes. Next we will add a line between those 2. So we have 4 boxes, and then all we need to do is add 1 box here, which we will not fill in. Just add a box on this side. So there's 5 boxes. We're going to fill them in with different values or tones. And values, V-A-L-U-E-S, will help us shade in the different parts of the shadow in our picture. The first thing I want you to do is fill in this box on the far right black. And see how I'm grabbing my pencil, holding it at the neck. This helps me press down hard. The next box, we want it to be dark, but not as dark as this one. So it's just going to be like a dark gray color. And then the very next box, we just want to push down just a little lighter, and I'm holding it a little farther back so I'm not pressing down as hard. And this takes practice, so don't worry if it's not coming out exactly how you want. Just practice with your graphite, building light to dark areas. Filling in your boxes light to dark. And now this one's just a little bit lighter. In fact, that one feels too dark. I might take my eraser and lighten it up. There we go. I can take my large eraser. That's why we need a large one. It really helps us with big areas, as well as we need a flat surface to erase. It feels a little bit better, and then I can erase with my small eraser. If you did color outside the lines, you could just take your eraser and clean it up. Like that. So we have a dark, medium, another medium, slightly lighter. Maybe we'll give it an even texture. And actually this one feels like it needs a little more. So you can adjust them as you need, jumping through them to see which one should be darker or lighter. Then we have our lightest one and the white of the paper. The highlight will be the white of the paper. The next step we want to fill in around the highlight is this light one here. This helps us see the highlight in contrast. just take your time. You can also cross hatch to make it look smooth, a little bit smoother. And notice how I'm holding my pencil far back here, using the edge, the flat edge of my pencil. And cross hatching. If you accidentally filled in that highlight, you can erase it out again. The beauty of graphite. Wonderful. And then we want to bring in a deeper shadow, not black. I got kind of dark there, but maybe like this deep gray color, or value. The deep gray value can fill in your shadow. If you lose a shape, you can always draw it back in. You can go back in and smooth anything out. Just take your time. We can hold it at the neck and bring in a highlight by outlining a little shape at the top, an oval, and filling in the stem. We can fill it in black, or our darkest value. Now we have a shadow shape on the plate. And the shape is large on one side because the light is coming in from the opposite side, casting the shadow on the plate from the orange and the apple. And then I can fill that in. Maybe, let's see, it looks pretty close to my apple shadow, so I'm going to outline my underneath the apple and outline underneath the orange, and then bring in your shadow. And then there is this other light in the shadow that we can bring out with our eraser. What we can do, what happens is the light from the sun bounces into the plate or a white surface and bounces into the apple underneath, into the shadow. So when that happens, like a mirror effect, we can erase a little bit on the apple inside the shadow for reflected, they call that reflected light. Something like this. And I'll erase the bouncing light here. So if the light is coming in from the right. The plate shadow, to bring out the plate, the shadow would extend on this side a little farther, just like the orange. And we can fill that in as well. And now we can fill in one last area in the background to bring out the fruit. Is this background behind the fruit. Behind the table. And I'm using something between these two values. And get the edges really well. I'm bringing in a deeper value just behind the fruit to bring them out. Even it out and cross hatch if you need. And that completes our graphite drawing.